Do you have? Okay, that told me we're recording. All right. We'll stand now for the invocation led by Pastor Dan Wilson and then the Pledge of Allegiance by our council president. So please stand. Hi, Dan.
Good evening, everyone. We just bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for such a wonderful evening. Lord, I just pray your blessing and your presence be among us. Lord, just want to remind us all, Lord, your word that says if we ask for wisdom, that you give liberally. So I just ask for wisdom, Lord, tonight, through those here tonight. That you just guide and lead and give us direction to continue to guide this community. Thank you for this community. Bless this community this time. Our law enforcement, Lord, our first responders, our council members, those in this community. I just ask once again, Lord, that the blessing will be upon them and your safety. Guide them in this, Lord, and give us wisdom. I ask you again in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These cards, and I also represent us South Coast Public Safety Challenge.
Okay.
I've left some with Corey and Matt. 3 months ago. But
Okay.
I'd like to leave these here.
Yeah, leave them with June. That would be great.
If there's anyone, that needs just to close a hope.
Oh.
You're welcome to text or call or whatever. Then I'm glad to just pray with you or just talk.
All right.
Great.
Thank you. June, is that mic turned on? Okay, because I couldn't really hear. All right. Okay, the first item that we have is a proclamation proclaiming Arbor Day in the city abandoned. And I don't think there's anybody here to receive this, so I'm not going, my voice is giving out. I'm not going to read this, but this will, Bandon is very, I think this is many years in a row we have been proclaimed a tree city. Okay, the next item is the action item 5.1.1 recruitment decision. And I ask that this be put on the agenda because we are, as you all know, our city manager is retiring, probably effective in September. And we have several ways we can go. In the past, several times we have gone with a recruitment service and it ended up costing us about $30,000 by the time you had your initial cost and plus expenses. And it didn't, we weren't satisfied with the results. We got 2 city managers that did not work out for us. So in a period of 5 years, we ended up with 2 city managers come and gone. And I just went through the process at the hospital where the board did not go through a recruitment service, and we hired on our own the new CEO for the hospital, and I think we did an excellent job. And I'm thinking that with June's help, June has already started talking to other cities. We know where we advertise. We advertise in the International City Managers Association and through the League of Oregon Cities. So they're pretty standard places where somebody will look if they're looking for a job as city manager, or even if they're not looking, if they just maybe they're an assistant at some larger city. And so we think that my personal opinion is that we can do it on our own and not spend up to $30,000. So, but we need to make a decision because Dan did provide, I think, 4 resumes for us to decide whether we wanted to go with a recruitment service. So does anybody have a discussion or any?
Well, I just need to point out that those RFPs, we received the following quotes. They're anywhere from $17,500 to $34,000.
Plus expenses, and that's
Plus
where they get you.
And the one of them capped the expenses at $24,500. So we're talking $50,000. I mean, and I think it's exorbitant amount. Considering the results we got.
Considering the results we went through, we did everything they told us. We had big community meetings. And everybody just shook their head. And I remember one when we were about ready to reach a decision, I think it was 3 city managers ago. And the fire chief said, could we vote for none of the above? Well, unfortunately, that wasn't an option. We should have, but that was not an option. And so we went with what we considered to be the best, and it was pretty much not the best. So we've been there, done that, and I also know that it's not that difficult. You interview people through Zoom, and then it's been a wonderful tool. We did everything at the hospital through Zoom because of course it was right in the middle of COVID, but it worked out very well. And then if you find a candidate that you really like, then we could have him come to town, or he or she.
I know that the League of Oregon Cities actually has a portal that helps assist you with bringing somebody on as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because the League of Oregon Cities would be the other one that we would go through league
Yes.
and.
Shayla, since Dan received 4 RFPs, do we need to vote to reject those?
I don't know what format he sought these. If he just,
don't know.
I don't think he put it out to formal bid, or was he just
No,
seeking comment from them? I don't think these have been submitted as a formal bid.
Okay, so
So
we
you
don't need
don't
to
need
reject them. Okay,
request for proposals.
right.
So they just proposed and
Okay.
we aren't under any obligation to
Yes.
accept any of them.
Okay, so I guess the motion's going to be, Madam Mayor, make a motion that the council start looking, I don't know what other language to do it, for a city manager by contacting public sources that are available to us.
Do I hear a
Second.
Been moved and seconded that the council handle the recruitment for a city manager on their own with taking advantage of resources that are available to us. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. The next item is the liquor license for Bandon Brewing and Pizza LLC. Guess you have that one, June, or? It's pretty self-explanatory, I guess.
Self-explanatory. I did send it down to Chief Flynn, or sorry, down to Chief Dillon, and he said it was no problem.
Oh, okay.
So is it a different, are they going to sell more liquor than the other one, or is it just a change of ownership?
Just change of ownership.
Okay,
So it's just beer and wine, there's no hard liquor? Okay,
Okay.
I couldn't tell by the
I
application.
couldn't either. That's why I
Yeah.
was looking.
Oh, okay. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve application for Bandon Brewing and Pizza LLC.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh to approve the application for Bandon Brewing. All in favor? Unanimous,
Aye.
I guess. I'm assuming it's unanimous.
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. Okay, approve the purchase of a tractor with a sidearm mower for public works. Is Tim here, or are you gonna?
Well, we need one. I know that.
Yeah, they're currently operating a 30-year-old tractor with a sidearm. They've had trouble for several years keeping it running. We do have some tremendous mechanics, I'll just call them mechanics on staff that have done a fantastic job at keeping it going. We're having an increasingly difficult time finding parts. We're even going to other countries to get parts now. So it's just time.
Yeah. I know that they've had to do half a Riverside Drive, and then I didn't see them come back for 3 or 4 days, so I figured it broke. And they took it back to the shop, and then they came back. So I make a motion to approve the purchase of the tractor with sidearm mower from Tiger Mowers in the amount of $248,303.12.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Brian, that we approve the purchase of the tractor with a sidearm mover from Tiger Mowers in the amount of $248,303.12. Any discussion?
I have just one question.
Okay,
I see that they were researching options. Was this just the lowest option that was the best and lowest option that they had found?
They found 2 good options. This one, we can get service and repairs in Roseburg. The other, we'd have to go to Salem or further away. So we'd save a couple $1,000s on the purchase, but in the long run, it wouldn't be as good.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would like to add that if we get on the list now, we're expecting delivery of this in the late fall. So
in the
we're-
late fall.
Yeah,
Just when we don't need it.
right, right.
Yeah. Okay,
We'll be ready for next year.
Is there any
Right.
warranty that goes with it?
What?
Is there any warranty? I missed that. Like a,
Do we know if there's any warranty, Paula?
I don't know exactly what there is, but there is some kind of warranty.
I'm sure. there
Sure
would be.
there
I would assume there would be. It's brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and never assume.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Jeff, are you?
Aye.
Right.
Yes.
Unanimous. Okay, approve the purchase of transformers for the electric department. Now, I think Jim can explain all this to us, can't he? I mean, will he?
Yes.
Thank you, Jim.
The city abandoned electric department is the largest enterprise that the city owns, and it's probably the least talked about. We kind of operate autonomously. We're kind of behind the scenes, just keeping the lights on. And most people take it for granted that when they hit the switch, that the lights are going to come on. And also they can turn their computer on, or their medical equipment will work, you know, as soon as they want it. And that's the way it should be. If we're behind the scenes working and no one really gives a thought to these issues, then we're doing our job. And they also the community has an expectation for a quick response to outages when storms roll in. My crew has been put to the test this winter, and the work speaks for itself. And I want this level of service to continue. And lately, one of the biggest challenges we're facing is the cost of doing business and staying financially solvent. The cost of inflation on the price of equipment has a huge effect on the future of the electric department. 4 major components to keeping the lights on are poles, wires, transformers, and the people to install and repair them. And I'm going to start with transformers, and all of our costs have just skyrocketed, and I'll cover that for you. The most used transformer that we have that mounts on a pole is one of our smallest transformers, and that's a 15 kVA. So it's a size 15 transformer. In 2021, they cost $864. And that was the last time. Usually I order probably about 20 to 30 at a time on the 15 kVA transformers. I am now out of 15 kVA transformers. I've ordered them a year ago, little over a year ago. And I paid $1,200 for those transformers. If I was to order them today, they would be $3,837. So they went from $864 to $3,837. So that's a 344% increase on the transformers that we use most often. We jump up a size. We use a lot of 25 kVA transformers. That's good for probably 3 to 4 homes, depending on the size of the home. Those are the type that mount on the pole. In 2021, we paid $1,121. If I was to order them today, which I intend to, this week sometime, I'd like to get those ordered. They're going to be $4,579, and that's a 308% increase. Okay, the most used transformers that sit on the ground, we call them pad mount transformers. The last time that I ordered those transformers in 2021, I paid $1,979. If I was to order that same transformer today, same company, they would be $7,599 for those transformers, and that's a 283% increase. Moving on to poles. And so we have transformers and poles and wire, and that makes up a lot of our equipment. Power poles, the most used power pole that we have is a 40-foot power pole. In 2021, we paid $372. I just got bids today, or not today, but last week on poles, and a 40-foot pole went from $372 to $1,573, and that's a 322% increase. Wire, I just have one example of wire, but it's pretty much all the same. This is our high voltage wire that we have in all of our subdivisions that feeds all of our transformers. It went from $2.75 a foot from 2021 to $5 a foot, and that's 81% increase. Right now, I have outstanding orders that I got purchase orders for that Dan has signed. And so I have outstanding orders yet to be paid for to the tune of $400,000. And that's because I've been trying to order transformers in advance. There's a national shortage, so I went ahead and ordered those. I'm waiting for those transformers to come in. I hope to get the 15 kVA overhead transformers. They're supposed to be here sometime next month, but they keep getting sold out from underneath us because I paid $1,200 for those transformers. If anyone has issues, what they do is they reroute those transformers for $3,800, and they make a lot more money than rather than giving, the city abandon their transformers that they have coming for $1,200. They can make a quick buck by selling them somewhere else. And there are some other issues like down in California. I think they had a big windstorm come in and it was an emergency situation, but I'm out right now. I'm out of those 15s and I really need to get them. So in 2 years, if I get those 15s in, I'm planning on being out of transformers in 2 years. And it takes 2 years for transformers to get here. So that's where we're at. If I don't order them right away, then in 2 years, we're going to be out. And I'm going to do the same thing that Coos Curry has done. And that is they're pretty much out of pad mount transformers, and they have stopped all new electric hookups that require a transformer. Now, if the transformer is already there, they'll hook your electric service up. But what my intention is as we get, our transformer supply is depleted, I'm planning on saying, okay, once I get to a certain level, I have to say, okay, the rest is for maintenance, and you're just going to have to wait until I get more transformers in. I'll discuss with my crew. I think once I get down to, between 5 and 10 transformers, in any given size, I'm going to, suspend new hookups that require a transformer. And I can do some juggling where I use an oversized transformer for one that would take a smaller one, but then you have to go out and replace them. And then you run the risk of not having a larger transformer available for the load that you might need. That being said, I have $400,000 of outstanding orders yet to be paid. I have $685,000 worth of transformers that I need to order so that I have them in 2 years. And I don't have the budget at the current rate schedule to pay for the transformers to keep the lights on. So that's where the electric department finds itself. That's, I have $1.1 million if I order those transformers of outstanding orders. And when those transformers come, those companies want their money. And I'm looking at it 2 years from now. I need to start saving right now for those orders so that we can keep our transformers and we don't default. Another challenge that we have, along with transformers, wire, and poles, are labor cost. Other companies are trying to actively recruit my linemen for more pay. And there's a shortage of certified linemen out there. So in the wage comparisons for the IBEW 659, Bandon is second to last in pay. And I need to offer, or the city needs to offer competitive wages to keep my linemen so that I can keep the lights on. So those are the challenges that we're up against, those huge increases in prices. You thought lumber was bad. I mean, when you're looking at 300% increases on transformers and equipment. And that not only applies to transformers, but any substation equipment is the same way. I did, and myself and the crew, we have new equipment in our substations, but I had to order some regulators for Langlois, and that's part of the $400,000 cost of the outstanding bills that will need to be paid. So with that, that's why I'm asking for permission to purchase or order transformers to the tune of $685,000.
Jim? We currently don't pay until they're delivered. Is that correct?
That's
Or
correct.
upon shipping, whatever.
Right. When they ship, that's when we pay.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you foresee these companies asking for payment up front and or maybe 50% down in the next couple years? It looks like they're getting awfully greedy, but
Well, there's such a high demand for transformers and other utilities. They can raise rates to cover that cost. So if I say, oh, well, you know, I don't want the transformers, they know that we're going to take them. I mean, because they can sell them anywhere.
Sure.
And so they're not too worried about collecting a deposit right now. At least they haven't said that.
okay.
Where are most of these transformers manufactured?
I have three companies that I buy from: Howard, Ermco, and Cooper. And I don't know exactly where they're manufactured. I do know that I have heard that there's a shortage of electrical metal in the United States. So the raw material that is required to get these transformers, there's just a shortage of the raw material. So that's why they're so expensive. I have some theories as why poles have gotten very expensive. And I think, there's a big push for broadband. I think Oregon just approved like a $250 million broadband infrastructure for rural communities. And so I think what they're doing is when they go to attach to a pole, and we're looking at a communication company putting in broadband on most of our poles south of town. What they're going to do is they have to, in order to put the communication wire on the pole, they have to set a taller pole. Otherwise, they have a NESC violation, a clearance violation. They have to stay 40 inches away from the power line. So I think that all that government money is buying all the power poles, and then that creates a little bit of a shortage. And then what happens is the larger power companies, they start hoarding power poles, just like they hoard transform, just like I do. I mean, I jumped on the bandwagon too. As soon as I heard there was going to be a shortage, I made a huge order, just like everyone else. And that creates higher prices. It's the law of supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we find ourselves. And I'm just letting everyone know that at the current rate schedule, I will have problems paying for the transformers. Right now, the budget looks pretty good, but as far as like revenue to expenses, you can look at that and go, wow, we're about $250,000 in the black. But if you add that $400,000 on outstanding orders that need to be paid for, suddenly that black turns into red pretty quick. So it's important I have the equipment and I have the manpower to make it happen.
Where are we on that union contract right now?
I think we're going to start negotiations pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
No questions, but I'm sure everybody here has seen the news with the tornadoes, the disastrous tornadoes that we've had across the country. And if you've seen the photos, the pictures, I mean, we're not talking a few trees down, we're talking
Everything.
entire blocks, hundreds of homes that are just gone, as well as all the infrastructure. So there's gotta be a huge demand for
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah, I might be waving goodbye to those 15 KVAs that are due to arrive next month. I mean, that
Right.
might be a possibility. I don't know.
And
We'll
as
see.
far as our hydro crew and the wages, my son-in-law runs the sewer plant for the city of Medford. He has a hard time hiring threes. He said they can go anywhere in the state and get a really good paying job. So there's definitely a shortage of professional, certified people that can work in utilities, our hydro crew included. It's just the fact of the matter that COVID and everything else has just completely wiped out a lot of this and created a lot of this problem. So I mean, we don't have much choice. We really have to get on the ball. We've got to pass our rate increases, number one, but I see that we have to go ahead and allow this order
I
to take
agree.
place.
We have to. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the purchase of the transformers identified above for $682,755. Should
I'll
I add
second.
as of today, that's the price or?
Yeah, we had I talked it over with Paula and we have a 10% adder on that.
Okay.
Because if you wait too long, the price goes up.
Right.
And that's where we're at right now.
Okay,
So it should cover it.
I seconded.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of the transformers. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now
our ballot measures.
I put these ballot measures on because the council, we can say whatever we want to up here. We can advocate, we can urge, we can, the last time when we started to talk about it, we had somebody in the audience who said, no, don't talk about it in the public. You've got to, we've got to not talk about it in public. Well, we need to talk about it in public. Obviously, our main goal is to educate people as to the need for these things. And as you can see, we don't have very many people here tonight. I hope that people will take advantage of the camera and tune in and see some of the, understand the information. I did write something in my column. And I'm going to read what I wrote because I think we need to have kind of a unified message. And I'm going to urge that each counselor, every one of us has a group of local people. We don't all have the same friends on the internet, on Facebook and email. And that we need to send out each one of these, I'm going to pass these out to everybody. And you can feel free to add your own terminology, but I think I've hit I'm just going to say by now, all of my readers know that in order to raise our utility rates, we must ask the voters for approval. To the best of my knowledge, a city abandoned electric utility is the only one in the entire country that must go to their customers to raise rates. Bandon has been hit hard by not only doubling and tripling in the cost of equipment, but supply issues have made it necessary to keep more on hand than would be necessary if we were assured of getting what we ordered when we needed it. On the May ballot, the city is asking voters to increase the base rate for water by $4 a month, by $4 a month for sewer, plus a 25-cent charge for additional 1,000 gallons of water. The electric increase will find a raise of $5 a month increase on the base rate for inside city customers and $10 for outside city, plus an increase in the per kilowatt charge of 1.2 cents per kilowatt hour, which will bring the residential cost to 8.75 cents per kilowatt hour for the first 650 kilowatt per month in both inside and outside, and 9.46 cents for other residential usage. Commercial and other accounts will also see a prorated increase. This is the reality of the cost to run an electric department. It transcends politics, opinions, and comes down to keeping the lights on. Other electric companies can more easily afford to operate under these conditions, but we are hampered by our inability to set rates. We are incredibly thankful for the quick response to electric outages that we have experienced during the recent winter months, storms. And I think if that pretty well is pretty concise, and if we can send that to everybody that we can think of and, maybe try to put, I don't know how many people read Coffee Break. We're hampered because we don't have a newspaper. It's really hard to get information to people.
Mhm.
And if anybody has any ideas of what else we could, the problem is we didn't get it in the city manager's newsletter.
Nope.
And by the time it gets into the May newsletter, the people will already have their ballots. And we at least need to let them know that they're, because if you pick up your ballot and you say, wait a minute, we haven't heard a word about this. And that's why I kicked it off in my column, and hopefully people will start talking about it and they will at least know that it's going to be in their ballot. And then Dan, I believe he will put some factual information. City employees can't advocate for it, but they can put out factual information. So I'm sure that there will be something in the May newsletter, but the election is May 16th, I believe, and the ballots now, it used to be they came out 2 weeks ahead. Now they come out 3 weeks ahead. So it really makes it difficult to plan any kind of a strategy because the ballots are out before you even think about it, before you get started. And that's what's happened to us. But the best we can do is, it's like every year or every 2 years, we go with hat in hand and beg our customers, because we are in such an unfortunate predicament that this wasn't challenged in the courts 20 years ago when it was first foisted upon us. But at that time, we had pre-existing covenants with the state for bond covenants for water and sewer. And so we weren't worried about it because we knew that we could pass those costs on. But the day of reckoning was going to come, and that is the day of reckoning is here now. We didn't do anything at the time, and it's just difficult that year after year after year, I don't know how much money we've spent on special elections, how much time we've spent trying to educate people. And it's just really hard. If the grocery stores had to educate people every time they raised a price on their groceries, can you imagine what that would be? Or the service station had to give you, or Mr. Stadelman up there at Abandoned Supply, if they had to give you a justification for every time they wanted to raise a rate, think of how ridiculous that is. Well, that's the position that we're in, and we have been in for years and years. And it looks to me like Dan has put out a questionnaire to try to gauge the will of the people. And every time he mentions, will you restore rate setting authority to the council, there's a great big no. So we don't know how that's ever going to change. Every year, every 2 years, as we need to raise rates, we're going to have to come back. And the story we talked about last time, and we have actually more earnestly talked about it. I think the important thing to remember is that if it gets to the point where the people will not support a rate increase, then we have an ability to sell our utilities. And that would, we have we can do two ways. I believe the city of Canby, there's only, I think, 11 municipally owned utilities in the state. So we're by far in the minority. Most people get their power from like Pacific Power and Light or Portland General Electric. But if we were to sell our utilities, then we would have absolutely no control. The community will have no control. They don't understand that we have to pay the same utility rates that everybody else pays, and we will all be hit hard if it comes to the point where we have to sell our utilities. And I don't want to ever have to do that. That's been one of the reasons, and people don't understand this, and one of the reasons that we have such a low city tax rate of 46 cents for the general fund is because all those years we had the electric utilities, we were able to set our own rates. We had our electric utility revenues to help to pay for a lot of the administrative things because a lot of the things that our office staff does has to do with billing and has to do with dealing with the electric utility. So we're able to repay that money to the city. But we were, when what ballot measures 50 and 5, I believe it were, that changed the whole tax structure of Oregon 20 years ago. Everybody who had a property tax rate, we were stuck with it. That is in perpetuity. There is no way, even with a vote of the people, that we can ever increase that until they come up with an initiative petition that would allow for those rates to increase. So we're stuck with that forever. And not only do we have the ability to not tax for general fund, but we don't have the ability because of this initiative petition 20 years ago, we don't have ability to set our rates. So we're hampered on both sides. And I don't know how to get that out to people or if they care. I don't know that they care. You know, they just say, well, we like we have lower rates. They've prepared information for us. We have lower rates than either Coos Curry Electric to the south or Pacific Power. A lot of our people on the north side of town, outside in Randolph, those areas, they're served by Pacific Power, and our rates are much better than theirs. And we try to do everything we can to instill trust in the community, but we keep having to go out for rate increases. So if anybody has any idea of what we can do, we tried a town hall meeting one night, and it evolved into where one man had to be escorted out by the police. I mean, it wasn't a pleasant experience.
No.
And the people that were there, most of the people who were there, they either wanted to antagonize us or they were mostly on our side. So we were just kind of preaching to the choir they already knew. And maybe you have 30, 40 people, but then look how many people we have in the community that you'd have to reach. And we don't know how to do it. So.
Well, I want to say one thing. I started out in city government on the original Utilities Commission. That was before I became a counselor. I've been this is my 9th year as a counselor. And that utility commission started out trying to get our rates raised that long ago, 10 years ago. We've been working on this. And the increases that we have received, we can't use for maintenance or operations. It has to go for capital improvements. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I received that phone calls that I made. Well, we just gave you one 2 years ago, but they don't understand. That's not for maintenance. That is only for capital improvements. We can't touch it to maintain our utilities. And we're up against a wall now. 10 years we've been working on this, trying to educate the people of Bandon that we need to raise our rates in order to keep up with the costs. And if we don't, and I've been accused of this, you've threatened us so many times about selling the utilities. I think at this point, we're up against a wall. We got no place to go now. You've heard Jim, you heard the costs. That's only one utility that he's talking about. We have 2 other utilities. They're in the same boat. So I just hope people understand and, vote yes on these ballot measures, because if we do sell the utilities, there's no more control. Private company will come in here, they can raise your rates 200%. They don't care. And you can't fight it unless you want to turn off all your utilities, then you can do it. So, but that's what people just don't get. Anyway, I preached enough, I guess. Please vote yes.
Please.
Should we get these increases, pray to God that we do,
Mhm.
we'll still have the lowest utility rates in just about anywhere in the
Yes,
state,
we will.
just to give you an idea. These are not idle threats, folks.
Nope.
We're up against the wall.
We have
No,
no
it's
place to go.
It's not easy for a lot of the folks out there that are renting and what have you, and I understand that. But we're gonna have our rates increased as well. It's not like, we're trying to foist it off on anybody.
We don't get a deal.
really need
I pay the
these rate
same rates
increases.
as you guys
We
do.
really need these rate increases. And you're right, we've got to figure a better way to get the word out, but
I know, but what is
just,
it?
what are you, I mean, we don't have a newspaper anymore. We have, and advertising isn't cheap either,
No.
And as Mary mentioned, special elections, I think they run around $6,000, which is, we've spent money on special elections and lost most of the time.
Mhm.
And it's just throwing money out the window. So please, consider these increases, consider just keeping our utilities open.
Keep them city owned, please.
Yes, keep them city owned. That really should be our theme.
That's our
Keep them
goal.
city owned, because then they stop and think, wait a minute, one of these days. John, do you have something to say?
Yeah, just wondering, if you could just, there was a way of communicating this, especially with the city manager's newsletter. I think it'd be important to do a comparative analysis of what these increases would actually be
Mhm.
compared to what the competitors.
Mhm.
Mhm.
To kind of put a little bit of
Yeah.
perspective in this, that might be helpful.
I think he actually did that a couple of months ago.
Yes, he did.
He pointed out, yeah, he did. And that's probably, John, that's probably our best avenue is for an education standpoint is the city manager's newsletter. And he's done a good job since he's been here in bringing up topics that people really need to understand. Some people always say they just throw them away. I
As
love
we
it.
look at Chris.
Yeah, we look at Chris, but if you really want to, to get good information, that newsletter goes to every utility customer and it's, share it with your neighbors.
It also goes out in an email form.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Some,
And you
get
read
both.
to us on
some
email.
just read the email.
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
we're
all right.
Paper away.
All right, well, so that was just a discussion. So now we're going to do a resolution number 2310, approving an inter-fund loan to the water plant improvement fund. And I think that's, who's going to be talking about that? Paula. I don't know where mine is, but I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. The water plant is currently upgrading to seismic valve.
Here it is.
And to do that upgrade, they need to drain the huge tank. So it's a better use of our natural and financial resources to do the full tank rehab at one time, which includes the interior coating. And that's what they're working on now too. That was also a little past its end of life. So it was definitely time. During the rainy season, right now is the best time to do it before we hit the summer with the peak season. So the fund does have 515,000 that's just not appropriated through the budget from this current year. That money will be available July 1st if the budget committee approves that. So what this is a request to do about a 2.5-month loan to fund the project now during the small window where we can get it done and then repay it in July.
Okay, let me ask you a question. We're gonna borrow it from electric,
Yes.
okay? Now, is electric still gonna have the money to pay for the transformers if they get here?
That was my question.
Yes, the old transformer, the 400,000.
Right,
if
the
they come
order.
next month, that's already budgeted
Okay.
and ready to
okay,
go.
Okay,
This is part of the savings for his 2-year forward
okay,
transformer
all
order.
right, thank you for that. Any discussion? Okay, Madam Mayor, I'm making a motion to approve resolution 2310, authorizing an internal fund loan of $170,000 from the electrical department, non-departmental, to the water plant improvement fund.
Second,
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh to approve resolution 2310, authorizing an inter-fund loan of 170,000 from the electric department, non-departmental, to the water plant improvement fund. All those in favor?
aye.
Thank you. Unanimous. Okay, now is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody wanted to bring up?
Just I want to thank Jim Wickstrom for doing such an excellent report in this month. And basically you all heard what we have read in our packets, what he talked about this evening. But I was very impressed. It was very nice to get that with the numbers. Because it's always good for us to get numbers so we can pass those on to the public. So thank you, Jim.
Hey, anything anybody want to bring up? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Been moved by Josh, seconded by Brian to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous. All right, now. Council Mayor, oh, wait a minute. Public comment.
Mhm.
John, you're here to talk about the crows, right?
Not that way. Let me crow about it.
Yeah, crow about the
Okay.
crows and give your name and address.
Yeah, but this is John Costa, 859 Chicago Avenue, Southeast.
And don't forget, we got a 3-minute limit, so consolidate.
We have a serious crow problem, especially in my neighborhood, where people throwing food out, popcorn, littering, creating a rodent problem. We now have a rodent problem where I live. We have traps set up all over the place. We have springing in the trees. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just I've talked to Stu Love, who's a biologist for Oregon Fish and Wildlife. He said that he agrees this is a problem. Somehow there's a vast increase in the crow population. They're destroying all the small songbirds. They eat songbirds right in my gutter every year. I'm getting sick and tired of it, to be quite honest. It's really pretty irritating. And I'm asking the city council to revise what was changed in the original ordinance, chapter 8.08, that was somehow changed by resolution 2020 that waters down pretty much crows. Crows are a nuisance. They desiccate all over our parking lot. They're scattered everywhere, all over my truck every day. We have people actively every day out there feeding crows. I'm getting sick and tired of it. It's really ruining my life. And I'm here to tell you that, and I wish we could do something about it. I have two neighbors that feel the same way. They weren't able to come here, voice their concern about this problem. But I would urge this to be changed back to the original language of 8.08.040, which includes crows, feeding of seagulls, crows, raccoons, skunks, opossums, and other wildlife. That's what it really needs to be changed to. We have 4 known violators in town, one south of town here, that goes to the Price and Pride every single day and fills his shopping cart up with cooked chickens. Now we're talking about 10, 15, 20 cooked chickens and scattering them all in front of his motel rather, south of town. We got birds getting smashed in the road. I mean, come on, we need a little bit of decency here, So could we please consider changing this resolution back to where it originally was?
I think we could, yes.
Yeah,
I
we
think
can.
that we found out after, well, I won't tell how I found out, but we found out that crows are considered songbirds. So, yeah, I know. Well, and the thing that I noticed it is in my neighborhood, these crows are so smart that when my neighbors put out their garbage,
Oh, yeah.
even though they put the lid down, the crows come along, they're somehow they get the lid up and then they just tear. The neighbors are doing what they think is correct by putting their garbage in plastic, but the crows are tearing the plastic. There's garbage all over town. And I tend to agree. I mean, not everybody in my family agrees with me about crows, but I think they are a huge nuisance. And when I moved up there by the hospital 10 years ago, there weren't any crows. Now they're everywhere. And
A lot of it has to do with people.
it does. It has to do with people. I know it. And I mean, the seagulls, we know what's happening with the seagulls. I thought the motel guy was a seagull man, but maybe not. Maybe it's crows and seagulls, but anyway, I agree. So I think we could look into that.
Yes,
Somebody take a note,
yeah. Let's change that so then we can start finding people.
well, we'll be discussing it. We want, the city manager's not here right now. He's gone. He was gone for a couple of weeks, but we'll be talking to him because it's a problem and we have people who love them and yeah, thank you, John.
What was your neighborhood again, John? What was your-
59 Chicago.
Oh.
Behind.
Okay.
All right, thanks, John.
So once we change this ordinance, then Richard can get addresses and start.
Well, what happens is it's not that you can't put in, it's when it causes a problem like
Yeah.
it's causing in his
Well, it's
neighborhood.
obviously a health and safety.
Yeah,
problem now.
and when people are feeding them, if people would just let them
Or
take
for
their
themselves.
garbage,
I mean,
take the neighbor's garbage, is
they-
what they're
they
doing
eat
now.
enough on garbage day. They don't need to be fed on the other
Right,
time.
they are, I know some people love them and they have pictures of them on their
Oh,
walls,
yeah.
but they love seagulls too. And look at the mess down here on Fillmore. Anybody else want to address the council? Bill?
My name is Paul Gray, 1235 Wayne Preston. Just a quick question, if we could go back to the ballot measures
Mhm.
and the timing of the last city manager newsletter, is it possible to put a special edition out? We had so much good information from Mr. Wickstrom tonight on cost, and then I think it was, city engineer was here a few months ago and gave a really good presentation on the water system. We could get that information in a special edition and an email before the ballots go out the same time.
We'll try, but I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to be back until the 18th.
Yeah.
And I imagine the ballots will be in the mail by that time.
Or does it have to be?
Well, you've got to be really careful to send out something. I mean, it's got to be strictly factual.
Yep.
It can't be it cannot be advocating.
Paula, do you know,
Councilor Vic mentioned, I think a key to the ballot. You're right, there's the people that have already made up their minds either way. There's probably a lot of people out there that don't understand.
Yeah,
What might happen.
right. Okay, thanks, Bill.
Paula, how long does it take to get a newsletter out to our utility customers? I mean, we do it at the city. We obviously email it to the people that do the printing and the mailing and all of that. But what's that time span? Do you know?
It, from the time that it's prepared, it's just printed right then. It can go out the next day.
Oh, okay,
There's not a big lead. And then all our paperless customers get it in an email.
right. Okay, thank you, Paula.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah, well, give them to June, John, and she'll give them, make sure that we get them. Yes. Okay, so now we've got council, mayor, staff remarks. Paula?
No, I probably should add to that. It doesn't take that long because they're with the utility bill, which has a customer address on it.
Yes,
So the newsletter itself doesn't have an address. So
right.
probably my statement's not entirely correct. It would take a little longer to
Generate the addresses.
generate the
Yeah.
addresses than get them in.
Okay.
Nothing, thank you.
The transformers that I have coming in next month they're not $400,000. I think I got them at a really good deal. So they're only, I think I'm paying around $40,000. So I just wanted to clear up that I don't have 400,000 in the budget ready to go, but I have enough money for the transformers. They're about $40,000.
Thank you.
Also on the utility issues, is the mayor mentioned not too long ago, boy, we've got a lot of second home owners, Bandit. They can't vote because they're registered somewhere else. They're only here for, during the summer months. And these are people that would probably say, oh yeah, we agree, but
They can't.
they can't vote. So we're basically stuck with the people that are entrenched here. And unfortunately, a lot of them are anti everything. And I'm not being facetious, but we really do need to do something. And again, I also mentioned that I would be willing to throw some money into a PAC.
Yep.
If that's something that we could do to get this mailing out or whatever. And I'm sure there are other people that would be willing to throw some money in there
Yeah.
too. Maybe that could expedite matters. That's all I've got.
Madeline?
I'm sorry, my brain just went all over the place. No, I don't think I have anything else.
I just want to say that my sister's 2-year-old granddaughter was here this week and they spent 2 or 3 days going to the library, and they live in Vancouver, Washington, and they were thrilled with what they found at the Bandon Library. Not only was the children's room the best they'd ever seen, and they said, I think they went to a program maybe on Thursday. I can't remember. It had something to do with Wash to Shore. I don't know. But anyway, they wanted me to tell the librarian that this was one of the best libraries they've ever seen, and particularly for young children.
That's wonderful.
I just want to say thank you to the electrical department. I had an issue this last Friday and it's kind of weird. It was up on the top of the pole, part of the transformer, buzzing, shooting out sparks, and it was a very quick response.
You're
Yeah,
lucky that he could fix it. We had a part.
Yeah, my crew's really good about that. And that's one thing I can't say enough about. And I've never had any problem, getting, my crew here to work. I mean, every single time, this winter and since I've been supervisor, I can get everyone here and they've all shown up. They're dedicated. They'll, we have everything in place here as far as my crew goes. So, we just need one more guy. But, yeah, no problems getting, I mean, they're a dedicated group of guys and so, anyway, yeah, they're good.
We need to keep them here.
Jim? Oh, Jim. Where did that come from? I was thinking of Jeff, but then.
You can call me Jim. I've been called a lot worse. Jim's a good guy.
Either one of you can talk now. I don't know care whose talks. I don't know who Jim was, but.
No, I don't have any comments at this time, but thank you though.
Chris.
I'll pass.
All right, we are going to adjourn now and have a short executive session. So hopefully give 5 minutes and then we'll go.
Thank
into
you, everybody, for
executive
coming.
session. Our faithful people, our front row faithfuls. Yeah. Oh, my back. Oh, my back's been wanting to go out all day. And just